I am living in your walls. If you need to ask me if
Oh,
I'm living in your
Joe
walls,
Hills here, coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee.
that I've not heard that in a long ass time. All right, so what's this galaxy thing you're telling me about? Ooh.
Oh yeah, I sent you that video that was talking about like all the shit they had to figure out in order to get spherical planets actually working in Galaxy.
So,
If you try to apply just like a standard naive 3D gravity system, then you run into the issue of which way is down.
so how do they solve that problem with like the gravity system? Because I thought it just pulls you towards the planet's center.
Uh, well, besides the issue of like figuring out where the planet's center is, they also want to have the option of like doing other things as well. But yeah, I was telling you, they created like a whole class of objects that are basically gravity fields that
Oh
like pull
yeah, because
Mario in
like
the specific
yeah,
direction.
because not every planet's a spheroid. Some of them are like cubes or like long tendrils.
Yeah.
So is it just a bunch of overlapping gravity fields?
Yeah, that's basically how they accomplish it. They have like a few different shapes of gravity fields and then they just like throw them around everywhere. And it turns out that the way to get rid of any weird edge cases from like rotation or whatever is to just make Mario's hitbox a sphere, because the sphere is always the same regardless of rotation.
Oh, that's kind of weird. So it's not a hit box; it's a hit sphere.
Yeah. Technically in previous games it was a hit cylinder, but now it's a hit sphere.
I guess it was. I guess it wasn't really that big of a deal because they did that without causing too many issues. I assume.
Yeah. I mean you don't really notice it. The most that you notice is like Luigi is a little taller than Mario, and so when you play as Luigi in an area with low ceilings, you might notice that his hat clips into the ceiling a little.
Oh, is it because his hitbox isn't actually different?
Yeah, Luigi just uses the same hitbox as Mario, but his model is a little taller.
Oh, okay. I actually wasn't aware of that. I thought he would just have his own hitbox. If gravity comes from mass, then why is the universe just a giant clump of all mass? It used to be, but there's this wonderful thing called dark energy.
Dark Energy is my favorite metal band.
Astrophysics is really fucking weird.
Yeah.
You get into some really strange concepts. I never
But
knew
yeah,
that
in order
about
to
physics.
make Mario's model not stick out too much from his hitbox, because it's a sphere now instead of a cylinder, they had to actually shrink Mario a little. And so if you do a side-by-side comparison of Mario's model in Sunshine and Mario's model in Galaxy, it's actually like a little shorter. And then they just kept that for future games even after they scrapped the whole sphere idea, like Odyssey and 3D World.
I would imagine they did that for like consistency reasons.
Yeah.
You know, I've never really noticed that until now that Mario in Sunshine was taller than in Galaxy.
Yeah, Sunshine is like I think it mostly uses like Super Mario 64's physics, but slightly revamped. But with Galaxy, they had to completely rewrite the physics engine to accommodate spherical planets
I mean, yeah,
and just the whole planet system in general.
you got a very unique level like type, so like you had to completely like start from scratch on something as basic as physics.
Yeah.
Because like you said, down. That's important to know. Like I gotta imagine they first thought just make a single point that gravity would like pull things towards, but then as they were designing the levels, that would like constrict the spherical planets.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, none of the planets in Mario Galaxy could exist because it would just collapse into a sphere.
They also use gravity fields to accomplish the fact that sometimes you want to just fall off the planet, but sometimes you want to fall onto the side.
I'm thinking specifically of the Gusty Garden Cube.
Yeah, and I'm actually not too familiar with Galaxy as a game, but it looks really cool.
I played it a lot as a kid. It's a pretty fun game.
Yeah.
You forgot the XD at the end of that. Go full 2000s. Talking about Mario Galaxy and its wonky physics.
RAR XD Lamau, ha 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 ha.
I didn't hear
Rafflecopter.
Rafflecopter. I didn't hear Lamau come into use until like 2013. That's when I first started hearing.
Rafflecopter was like peak 2008 humor.
I mean, so is Raffle.
Yeah.
That's how I could tell that Ant is old, because he uses it a lot. It's definitely not perfect in terms of control and physics. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Mario 64's physics system is also really janky.
You see, in a straight relationship, who's the dog and who's the cat?
I don't know what to make of that. You gotta determine which of you is the cat girl.
Eh. I was reading the other day that apparently in Super Mario 64 there are basically two main collision types. You've got like static collision for just like level geometry, and you've got dynamic collision for like stuff that's part of objects. And dynamic collision is a lot more computationally heavy than static collision, and so it can be pretty laggy.
Right.
For some reason, they decided to make the sub in Dire Dire Docks dynamic instead of static, even though it doesn't move at all. And that causes like basically all of the lag in that area of Dire Dire Docks.
I mean, it also doesn't help that they didn't compile it with optimization.
Yeah.
You know about that one, right? I think I linked it to you.
Yeah.
Where they like, it was figured out because a group of lunatics decided to reverse engineer the machine code for the game,
Yeah.
and then compile it into C. Or one of those two. I can't remember which process. I'm pretty sure they had to do the machine code.
Yeah,
first
they've reverse engineered almost all of like the original C code at this point, and that's been a huge help for the A button challenge.
I mean, yeah, when you literally know all the ins and outs of like the code, then you can find, hey, there's some exploits we can take advantage of here because of the way certain things work, like computational.
Although it is impressive how much shift they were able to discover without access to the code.
I wonder if there will ever be like another Mario game that's like in depth in terms of its technical know-how, like Mario 64 is.
I don't think. Yeah, you can quote me on this. There will never be another video game challenge as thoroughly researched and documented as the Super Mario 64 A button challenge.
Aren't we approaching the limits on it? Like what can be done?
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to the point where like the remaining A presses just have literally nothing to work with.
Well, I can also tell that we're reaching the maximum because like the technical jargon with it is like so obscure that you have to like really like pay attention. You can't like look at it as a casual observer and be like, ah, yes, I understand these various concepts that are thrown around because it's just a bunch of jargon.
Like Panon is currently in the process of creating Stomp on the Thwomp in 0A presses, which is completely fucking insane that that's possible.
Isn't that the one on TikTok? Or no?
Yeah, that's the top star in TikTok clock.
How the fuck do you do that without an 8 press?
A lot of fire. You burn the clock down. Not literally, but a lot of fire.
That's fucking insane. But now we have the actual source code, which lets us do anything like the PC port.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, once you have the source code, you can do anything with that.
And after that, they're pretty sure they have a way to save the A press left in Bowser and the Fire Sea, but that's really complicated, and there are still some pieces left.
What's the one 8 press you have
Left
to
to
do?
solve. The one A press left in Bowser and the Fire is used to get off the pole, because poles are fucking evil in Super Mario 64.
Oh god, how the fuck do you get off the pole without pressing A?
You bypass the pole entirely.
Isn't that what the platform thing was for? They were trying to do?
Yeah, they want to essentially do the same thing that they did in Lethal Lava Land, but it's more complicated because it's a much more open course, and the platforms are different.
If I remember correctly, the floating and raising platforms would like crash when colliding with like a solid object, right?
Well, they want to solve the A press on the Nintendo 64.
Right. No, I'm just talking about like in that.
Yeah.
In that one.
Yeah.
By that same logic, the way you explained to me, like the reason they move up, does that mean the platforms above slowly sink downwards?
Yes. That's true.
Because I was gonna assume that the upper platforms on like layer 3 were above the Y0 plane. Minecraft Firelands no W button. I mean that'd be possible. I would literally have to just turn sideways, and then now I'm only pressing the A key. I just can't see where I'm going. I'm not doing it though. That's somebody else's problem. I like the demonstration of using BLJs to build up like ridiculous speed, and then it just crashes the game.
Yeah. Yeah,
I can't imagine why the game would not like the speed to be negative infinity.
The A button challenge is done on the original Japanese Nintendo 64 version of the game because of there's one specific glitch called spawning displacement that is exclusive to the original Japanese release, and it saves 3 A presses.
The fuck is spawning displacement?
Okay, so basically, due to a bug in the game's code, rotating platforms can affect Mario for one more frame after he's no longer on them. And this includes in the transition out of a level. So, if you're like exiting out because you collected a star, but you collected the star while you're on one of the spinners in Tick-Tock Clock, then suddenly you're in the castle. But the rotating platform can still affect you for one more frame. And the rotating platform in the castle's coordinate system is like really far away. And so that rotation sends you down enough to allow you to land back on the clock instead of down on the floor. And that saves an A press.
Huh? What the fuck? So it sends you down and then you end up at the clock.
You end up spawning like back on the clock's like, I don't know, rim? Is that what you would call it? I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay, what?
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, Mario 64 has a lot of crazy glitches, and one of the interesting ones is cloning, because it saves a ton of A presses, and it only exists because of a strange oversight on the part of the developers.
Yeah, you should be the Mario holding the bowling ball.
Yeah, I will attempt to come up with a relatively concise explanation, but Bismuth explains it better than I can. Okay, so when you are holding an object as Mario, what is in your hands is not actually the object, but a visual copy that is a reference to the object slot that object belongs to. Because the game has like a whole pool of object slots. And as a quick little side note, if you manage to fill up all those object slots, the game will actually crash if you try to spawn in another object. And one of the simplest ways to accomplish this is the fucking Monty Moles in Tall Tall Mountain. If you get into like just the right spot, they'll throw their pebbles off the edge, and the pebbles will like despawn but not deload, so they'll just continue taking up slots until the game crashes.
How many slots are available? I assume it's like 65,000.
240.
240? What? That's low as hell.
There are 240 object slots.
Why that specific number? Yeah, whatever. Not really the point.
I don't know. Anyway, point is, when you're basically holding a visual copy of the object, which is a reference to that object slot. And so when you grab an object, the object needs to change its status to being held, and Mario needs to change his status to holding an object. These changes, they happen like independently, but they're linked together through the held object. And they happen like instantaneously at the same time for a diving grab and a water grab. For some reason, they're 2 frames apart with a punching grab. And you can abuse this by making the object unload during those 2 frames, because you're now holding a reference to a vacant object slot that a new object can load into.
My next question is, how is that useful?
That turns out to be very useful because it allows you to hold things that you're not normally supposed to be able to hold, like a Goomba or a fire. And so you can... And it turns... Okay. If you're holding something that's just like, say, a pole, then you can only move the pole, because you just get a reference to the pole. But like a Goomba has a spawner, and so you can keep placing more and more Goomba clones and they'll respawn because they're disconnected from the spawner.
Oh.
And so you can use like Goomba bounces to get around. Okay, so for example, you know Mario Wings to the Sky, right?
Yes.
It's that star and Bob on Battlefield, you shoot out of the cannon. They do that in zero ray presses by creating a huge Goomba bridge from the top of the mountain.
And then
so Mario just bounces on a whole bunch of Goombas to get to the last 2 secrets.
What the hell?
It's really funny.
You've consumed my mother? That's rude. How many A-breasts did you say there are? 16 left?
There are 15, soon to be 14. Once Panon is officially done with Stomp on the Thwomp, which will be within like, I don't know, the next couple of months, then it'll be 14 A-presses.
Have these ever been done in like a single run? Is there just like theory crafting to like open the possibility?
There is no like full 120 star ABC run. It's just like a bunch of single star segments.
Yeah. People are working on the pieces of the puzzle.
I mean,
to fit it together.
in theory, if you wanted to, you could like bring them all together and like sync up the RNG, but that's like a long and annoying process, and it would get outdated fairly quickly.
I feel like that
once a new A-press is found.
I feel like that's gonna be like the last step, is combining them all together into a single coherent run.
Yeah.
Which will probably be more ridiculous than anything else I've ever seen.
Yeah, right now there's Stomp on the Thwomp, currently 1 A-press. They're about to bring that down to 0. There are 3 A-presses required to enter Tick-Tock Clock 3 times. It's only 3 times and not 6 because of that spawning displacement glitch I was talking about before. There are 2 A-presses needed to collect the coins and wing Mario over the rainbow. There's just no way around those cannons. There are 2 A-presses needed to collect the red coins in Tiny Huge Island. There's just no way around that. Yes, Tick-Tock.
Yeah, Tick-Tock.
There's 1 A-press used to escape the elevator in the Pyramid of Shifting Sandland twice. Once for the Secret Star and once for the Pyramid Star. There's 1 A-press needed for the Princess's Secret Slide. There's 1 A press needed for the chest star in Jolly Roger Bay, and I think that's it unless I'm missing something. I don't know, I'm probably missing something.
Oh, so they're really getting down to like just a couple left that they can get rid of.
And then there's the half A presses, and that's really fun if you're not like deep into the rabbit hole.
Oh boy.
Are you familiar with what a half A press is?
No, enlighten me.
Alright, so the half A press notation was created because there are some moves and actions that Mario can do while the A button is held. And so, in a full game run, it's assumed that you could just leech off of a previous A press instead of pressing A at the beginning of the star.
Okay.
And so, for example, in Watch for Rolling Rocks, because of complicated dumb physics reasons, if you have too much speed, you'll just clip through the elevators, unless you kick. But you can't kick unless you're holding A. So they need that half A press. Which basically means, you know, full game run, round down to 0, and isolation, round up to 1. Thus, half.
Okay, so it wouldn't exist in a full run, but in a isolated run.
Yeah, in a full game run, half A
half.
presses are rounded down. But in isolation, they'd be rounded up if you were just doing like a single star segment.
That's pretty fucking wild.
And, in Dire Dire Docks, you need the half A press to swim with an object. Because turns out, like, one of the ways to make an object unload is a loading zone. And the loading zone is basically a special trigger that unloads part of a level and loads the other part.
Alright, Dire Dire Docks is in the tunnel.
Yes, there's specifically 2 levels that are too big to fit into the standard map size, so they use a loading zone and a tunnel to split it in half. One of them is Dire Dire Docks, and you know what the other one is?
Don't tell me, don't tell me.
Don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me!
Don't tell me, don't tell me! Don't tell me, don't is it Jolly Roger Bay?
No. Actually, there's technically 4 places where it's used, but for the purposes of right now, we're gonna say 2.
Wet Dry World. Wet Dry World.
Yes, Wet Dry World.
I was like, duh. I know this is the loading zone because I like hit the lag every time I go down through the tunnel.
There are technically 2 other places where a loading zone is used, but they're not relevant for the A button challenge. And those are in the tunnel to get to the IROC boss fight in the Shifting Sandland Pyramid.
Yep, I remember that being a loading zone.
And the slide in Tall Tall Mountain.
The slide's a loading zone?
The slide has 2 loading zones, actually, because the slide is too big to fit into the standard level size.
Oh, wait, like the whole slide is... Oh, wow, I didn't know that it was, like, unloaded partway through.
Yeah.
Huh.
They have those tunnels to create a seamless transition.
Didn't know that. Alright. Well, at least they managed to work that into the level design.
Yeah.
It looks pretty seamless.
But yeah, when you cross a loading zone trigger, all of the objects unload. And so, what you can do... Yeah, Fig, buy a whole Yeti. It's gonna fit in your room, definitely.
I'm not buying a Yeti. That's illegal.
Just go to, like, a Yeti trafficking ring.
I should get an actual microphone at some point. I've been saying that since, like, I don't know, fucking 2 years ago. I'll get it eventually. Sometime between now and the heat death of the universe.
We'll get it on November 31st.
31st? That triggers me. I'm calling the cops. There's a spider on my ass. Alright, what were we talking about? It was loading zones.
Yeah, so, loading zones. Dire Dire Docks. So it turns out you can, like, grab a water shell and you have enough time before it expires to, like, quickly go onto the surface. And then that just makes it so it won't unload. Which, by the way, water shell, most useless fucking object in the game.
I know, I don't understand why it exists. You never use it in a normal run.
But yeah, you you can like bring it out of the water. That basically just turns it into a standard useless object, but it won't despawn unless you go through the loading zone, in which case you can make it load by repeatedly like crossing and uncrossing the loading zone. You can make it load anything you want. So you could like say bring the star for the sub right over to you.
Oh.
Because you can be holding the star when it loads in, and then you just release it.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that kind of cloning loading zone bullshit that requires you to hold A, because if you normally for like a 0A press swimming, you would just repeatedly press B, but that would also make you drop the object, and that's not good.
Oh, so is this like a half A press thing?
Yeah, it's a half A press where you hold A.
Okay. I'm starting to understand some things.
Yes, so in a standard speed run, you would just like repeatedly press A to swim, but that's not an option here, and I'll leave figuring out why as an exercise for the viewer. Yeah, so microphones, if you want, I could like recommend the microphone I use because I quite like it, and you know, whenever you eventually get around to it, you can figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah, figure.
Wow, we haven't made that joke for the past. Hang on.
5 minutes.
9 years. I've known you for 9 years, Splax. It's been a minute.
Wait, really? I don't remember meeting you before now. What are you talking about?
Back in the old days when you were Roxy.
Oh, those old days. So hold on, let me go access those memories real quick.
You gotta load that disc.
Yeah, I gotta go pull out my VHS tape.
My VHS tape. Gotta load it from a magnetic tape.
Yeah. God, you know.
I do distinctly
Before speedrun.com was a thing, the main hub for like the speedrun world records was Speed Demos Archive. And in the mid to late 2000s, there wasn't really an easy way to like capture and share console videos on the internet. And so, if you wanted to get your record recognized, then you'd have to do what like Mitch Flowerpower did for his first Super Mario Bros. 3 world record, which is get it on VHS and mail the tape to Speed Demos Archive.
God. Thank God YouTube at least exists nowadays, or like, I guess just video uploading in general.
Or you can just be Billy Mitchell. That's always a thing.
I mean, yeah, but most people have integrity.
Yeah. Most people are not friends with the site mods who can just allow them to verify completely impossible scores.
Some people don't try to, you know, dream their way into things, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Feeling very dreamy.
Dream? What was I gonna say? Oh, I distinctly remember, back like a month before, we began speaking, in like 2013. I remember when you did your, you were getting plagued, and so whoever was playing as Kedamonia decided to like repeatedly heal you for like 38 minutes until the effects wore off.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think I had died during that game.
Wow, Kedamonia, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
It's a long, long time. I distinctly remember because I remember dying to the plague in that game, and so like I was just like reading chat as like the saga was explained of how you were being kept alive.
Wow, Splash is a cool name. I'm gonna go rebrand myself.
Splash is a chill voice. I mean, hey, I got my fucking name from a fuck up. Otherwise, you still be calling me Frog. I'm not a PlayStation? Yeah, you are. It's in the name, PlayStation Vita.
Saw some fig spread at the grocery store the other day. I'm gonna buy it and spread fig all over my sandwich.
Oh no, bro. God. Remember the stupid thing that was creeper launching.
Yeah.
That was so enjoyable. You'd fling you'd fling a bunch of zombies over, then you just see like just really quickly someone died, and then you get the what the fuck. That always cracked me up. I remember one time, I think it was Planes. Yeah, we were playing on Planes, right? And,
Yeah.
I was actually bruised during this game, and a zombie landed directly on me, and it was obviously still strength buff, so it did 9.5 hearts of damage to me, almost killed me. But at that same time, I released Verendra, but because it was so close, it didn't do the insta kill damage, but instead launched the zombie back. So like,
oh my god,
this all happened at the same time. So suddenly I was like almost dead, and there was like a zombie that was just pinged away from me. I was like, okay, we need to back up a bit. It scared the shit out of me.
My new favorite subreddit, Hobby Drama. The tale of the Wikipedia admin who created 80,000 pages about titties.
Bro, what?
There was a Wikipedia admin a while ago who created 80,000 page redirects about titties.
That is really funny.
For example, titty pumps, titty pumping, titty pumpers, titty pumped, booby pumping, booby pumpers, etc. Apparently for breast reconstruction, he created Booby Builder.
That's funny as hell. How long did it take anybody to figure that out?
It took like a few years for anyone to figure out like what he was doing, and then it took another few years for them to delete them all. But, you know? He still did less damage than that kid who completely and utterly fucked the Scots Wikipedia. I don't know if you ever heard about that.
No, I did not.
Okay, so Scots is a bit controversial because it's not like universally recognized as a language. Some people see it as just like an extreme Scottish accent, and it's not distinct enough to be a separate language.
Honestly, having read Scots, it's definitely a separate language.
Yeah, so, well, that perception was not helped by the fact that, God, for 7 years, up until 2020, basically the entire Scots Wikipedia was written by an American teenager who does not speak the language, and was just writing down what he thought a Scottish accent sounded like. They had to delete all of his pages and completely rewrite them.
Oh boy. That's joyous. You know what I learned when I was decompiling this version of Alpha to mod the UI thing? You know all the old like wool colors that existed in like Classic? So they're still referenced within the blocks.class. It's just that every single like cloth color except for white is set to null. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they're still like in there. Like all the old color names are still there too. They're just all set as null. Ooh, there's some orange juice in there.
Apparently, the Wikipedia admin said, I apologize for creating unusual redirects. When creating them, I did not think the community in general would be against them. Again, I am very sorry. But he did not explain what he was thinking when he created thousands of pages like Suckling of the Boobies and Tumorous Titties.
Oh my god. Vita, I'm not falling for that. I know what that word means. I wasn't born yesterday.
Did he say one of the 13 bad words?
Don't you mean there are only 7? Not if you're a sailor.
Exactly.
Sailor Talk is a great episode. Oh yeah, did ever the when I did the 120 star in the with the randomizer on,
Hmm.
like I would end up with really like stupid areas where like so the Princess's Secret Side, that Starbox spawned at the bottom of the like slope, at like the main
Oh
slope.
my god.
So I had to. This took me like a while, but basically on the way down, I would angle myself towards the box, jump at like basically the right time to hit the underside of the box and release the star. Then I would like halt myself as quickly as possible, and then I would jump kick my way back up the slope because you don't get enough height just from like a standard jump from the slide. So I had to go back up the slope enough that I could build up enough speed that I could then jump and touch the star. This took like several minutes just to get that one star.
Yeah.
There are a lot of like other things too, because obviously like all the red coins are randomized. So like in Shifting Sand Lane in particular, there was one that was up on the like level slope going out. Fuck, I remember. You know the side where all the quicksand is, like the dark quicksand?
Yeah.
It was on that level slope going up, so it was near the top of that. And then there was one that was in the dark quicksand, and it was too far away for me to like ledge grab to get it. So I had to get the Koopa shell, and then I had to like very carefully go up the slope without hitting the level boundary, so I didn't like break the shell.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to get the one from the quicksand without touching the wall that it was next to. Otherwise, shell would break. I'd fall in the quicksand. The funny thing that I accidentally realized was because the spawn points were randomized too. I did the top of the pyramid thing, and then I went into the pyramid expecting to go straight into the cage and then have that drop me down, forgetting that it randomizes my spawn, so I just ended up at the bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, oh fuck. So like, what I had to do I had to like drop off of the top of the IROC box and then like land into the tunnel.
Yeah.
Which wasn't terribly difficult. It was just annoying that I had to do that. Oh, and I got to randomize the coin colors. So the yellow coins were purple, the red coins were like a cyan, and then the blue coins were like gray. Like a grayish brown. Honestly, it was fun. Randomizing gives a lot of replayability. Inflation has been at an all-time high since Joe Biden became presidente. Due to how fast prices inflated, economists have referred to it as sonic inflation. Go search for sonic inflation to learn more. Moper. I'm sure nothing bad will come up if you search sonic inflation. I wonder when I run across another monolith. You know what the monoliths are, right, Splex?
Yeah.
Yeah, so far I've ran into 2 of those things. It's always funny whenever you find them, though, because, like, the surrounding area is, like, ridiculously flat.
Apparently, around... God, this is such a stupid story. Around, like, 20 years ago, Marvel Comics had, like, a rule internally that editors were not allowed to write because they don't want to create, like, the idea of nepotism. And one of the editors was dissatisfied with the state of affairs, so he dealt with it by creating a fake Japanese alter ego so he could get hired by his own colleagues as a freelancer. And somehow, this went, like, completely unnoticed for years. Because one of his colleagues had lunch with some like random Japanese guy that apparently he just assumed was like this assumed identity freelancer, and so everyone had just like considered the rumor debunked that it was not real. Very strange.
It's a weird story. You've bounded my dragons. Oh no. Oh boy, I have Windows updates.
Windows updates.
Thank you, Microsoft. Very cool. Oh, did you know that there's a point where the Farlands would actually end?
Really?
Yeah. You wanna know how far away it is?
Billions?
So it's when the input noise would surpass 2 to the power 1024.
Oh geez, that's gotta be really fucking far away.
Well, given that it increments by 171.103 each block, it would take quite a while.
Was it just 2 to the 1024 divided by 171?
Yeah, which would still be like a ridiculously high number.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's just still that's just 2 to the 1022nd. IIRC.
Like, if you're doing 2 less powers of 2, you're only dividing by 4, not 171.
No, I'm doing 2 powers of 2. Oh wait, no, that's factors of 10. Whoops.
Dumbass!
Yeah, no, I got mixed up.
2 to the power of 1024 is about, like, 10 to the 308, so you'd be looking at probably about, like, 10 to the 306.
That makes more sense.
There you
I
go.
mean,
that's how math works.
That's still a ridiculously large number.
Yes.
Minecraft would be many, many lengths the like entire universe. Although I think I might be actually wrong on that because Bedrock has the same problem, except it does it in 2 to the 128. That's why their Farlands, well, they used to just like trail off.
Yeah, but Bedrock doesn't count. Bedrock is fake.
Bedrock is just a bad port. Changed my mind. $7.5 trillion blocks away. A lot of dream luck there. Oh, jeez. Ooh, you're pretty close to crossing 800,000. The guy exposed Reaper cheating got exposed for taking all of... Oh, yeah, yeah. I think we talked about this yesterday. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was exposed for cheating.
Oh yeah, Minecravenger.
My, how the turntables. Not as miserable as
Apparently,
Floby's case.
in Super Mario 64, you can crash the game by throwing a bomb at a Monty Mole.
Why?
So, when a Monty Mole is killed, the game runs a function to determine which hole the mole should go to next. Because, they don't actually die, they just move to another hole. Fucking bullshit moles.
I hate those fucks.
And the function cycles through all the holes to see which ones are eligible candidates, and then it selects one at random. But if Mario's far enough away, then none of the holes are eligible, and the function will return null. The programmers did not account for this situation, so the game just crashes.
Oh, they didn't have a null exception.
Yeah. And this can be accomplished relatively easily in Tall Tall Mountain.
I assume you stand above where the Monty Moles are, just grab one of the bombs and throw it off. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'll post a screenshot in Discord. It's actually not that far of a distance.
What? I don't get it. Why? That's not that far.
That's really not that far.
I'm sorry. What the hell? Floby cheated because he wanted to impress a girl who rejected him. He thought she'd love him if he got a world record. Ah, yes. Modern romance.
Ah, yes. And he's still less delusional than K-pop stans.
Sorry, I only date boys who get Minecraft world records. Ah, so he had a motive to cheat. That is pretty cring. It's pretty Kris Kringle, not gonna lie. Kris Kringle, my favorite rendition of Santa Claus. NFL theme starts playing. If it wasn't copyright, I would play it off my soundboard. I love Knecht Ruprecht, a German Christmas guy. If you've been naughty, he puts you in his sack and hits it with sticks. What the fuck is with German folk legends? Like, think about Hansel and Gretel, pretty fucked up. That's just weird. That is really funny, though. Hang on, I gotta make the sand fall. It's compulsory. Wow, man, I've had my fucking knife filter on the whole time. Alright, 80,000. We may contain nuts. There's no nuts in Minecraft. What the fuck is this game talking about? Alright, my dudes. That is all the walking for today. So as always, thanks for walking.